What's up? This is Chris Charisma, and you're watching Meet the Artist.
Sorry I couldn't get your message quick. I'm on my way to your crib.
I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois. I was born in 1995, and it's like, growing up, I never really seen myself as the type of person to like do anything talent-based. I always wanted to be like a doctor or be somebody sophisticated, have a high education and breed, but it's like I still plan on doing that, get my PhD, but I never felt like putting myself in a specific category would cause me to limit myself. So I always thought about dreaming big and doing whatever I put my mind to can get me anywhere I want to go. And failure is not an option. I always learned that from my mom, and that basically gave me the exterior that I got right now, and the mindset I got right now is to that potential is everything and everybody got it. It's crazy. I was like a kid. I was very young, and I always was around my grandparents in Chicago, and I always heard Isley Brothers on the little turntable looking mechanic, the grandpa radio CD player that they always had, and listened to a lot of R. Kelly and a lot of Chicago stepping music. And it got me interested, but my own influence always came from listening to Tupac, and I picked up Lauryn Hill from my mom. And I picked up Prince from my mom too. I tried to avoid it, but I couldn't. But Michael Jackson was the main one that got me interested in music. I had no rhythm whatsoever when I was a kid, but I seen Michael Jackson a lot, and I always mimicked him so many times. I always thought maybe if I continue to practice, then I could end up doing his moves, and I could end up being just like him when I got older. But then I also thought about I need to be able to do my own thing as well after my teenage years started progressing, and then I started getting older and older. So I just practice, and then put myself in that mindset where I can pretty much do it, and I will not always be the best at it, but I know for a fact I can always continue to learn. It's gotten to the point to where I can do a moonwalk and I can do the lean and everything, but I know it's a lot of more steps that'll be able to come. Chris Brown, I'm coming for you. Just know that. My top inspirations had to be, my mom's one of them, because she's the one who I mainly picked up my wordplay and my writing ability from. For her herself being a poet, like listening to her on stage and watching her do her performances, and then listening to her through her words and her expressing her feelings and emotions through her handwriting, it basically made me feel like I can end up doing it too if I just practice. I wasn't the best at it, but after I got older, I started realizing that if I just keep going, then I could get better and better. And I plan on going back to school someday and actually getting my craft a little bit there so I can end up learning more. And celebrity-wise, inspiration that I have it's a lot of them. Michael Jackson, R. Kelly, Trey Songz, one of them music-wise, and PNB Rock now. And I picked up a lot of Bryson Tiller after I bounced around a lot to get that little smooth feeling vibe. And Drake came up in my life as well. Growing up, so did Lil Wayne. I got like a huge list from both old school, new school, R&B, hip hop, neo soul, sometimes rock and roll, but I never label myself category wise when it comes to music. Basically, with what's going on with music now, it's like times are changing, and it's just based on generation to generation. Like, everybody knows that when it comes down to certain music we listen to, it influenced us on many ways. When it came down to NWA, they taught us about police brutality. And when it came down to Tupac or Biggie, they was the two main motivators when it came down to both East Coast and West Coast rap, to show different styles and genres of two different flavors when it comes down to the hip hop industry and music. And what's going on with music now with the mumble rap, it sounds good to an extent. I personally feel like everybody's allowed to express themselves the way they want to, because if it's how they feel, it's how they feel. If they want to do something they want to do, then they can do it. Everybody's going to have an opinion about something, and everybody's going to feel the way they feel about something, whether they like it or they love it or hate it or dislike it, good, bad, negative, positive. It don't matter. It's going to continue living on regardless, because it's just what we all try to do to strive to succeed. I feel like dancing came a long way. Like back in the day, we always like it went from different styles, from ballet to jazz to tap stepping to tap dancing, and then Chicago stepping, and then ballroom, and then salsa, and then jitterbugging, and then now you see from the time where it was break-in days with turbo and ozone and popping, it's advanced to a new style of genres of dancing where not only here in the United States or different cities like New York, Atlanta, or Los Angeles or Texas are doing styles of dancing. You also can go to Japan, Asia, England, Africa, or Canada, and you can notice that there are so many different other genres and styles. And I feel like the dancing world has increased more than what it has when it was a while back in the day, and there's more advances to where you can go when doing such a specific art within that craft. The fact of the matter that, like, being from Chicago, one thing I always wish is that it gets better, because like me myself, you know for a fact, if you're from somewhere, you never want to hear anything heard wrong or negative about the place that you're from or where you grew up at or where you lived at. Especially the fact, if you tell somebody where you're from, they're gonna put you in that category or place you as a statistic as being exactly of what your city is. If they figure that since Chicago has a high murder rate, or the crime rate is increased every single year, or it gets worse and worse almost every weekend, that almost anybody and everybody from Chicago is gonna be that exact same way, and that's wrong. It's just, you're gonna be who you are as your own person, depending on the environment you're in, or how you're raised, or how your parents take care of you. Everybody's different in their own way. I'm from the city, but I'm not a bad person. I'm not a gangbanger. I don't gangbang. I don't kill. I don't just up and murder people for no apparent reason. I don't do no crazy shit like that. I don't. What I just try to focus on is living my life, staying humble, being smooth, and being successful, and being a proud black man dealing with a messed up system. When it came down to it, like moving up here from Chicago, I was young. I was just getting ready to start high school. I came up here and went to Central, and it was like my mom moved me and my little brother up here for our safety, just to make sure that we wasn't around the city when it was around. It was horrible around that time, and the murder rate was increased tremendously, and it was absolutely ridiculous. So my mom moved us up here, started a school here, so we can be able to have a more safer environment, so we would be able to actually have a few years in, and so she won't have to worry about us or stress about us being hurt just for walking down the street or going to get some candy or going to get something to drink from the gas station or go to the store. But after coming up here and a few years passing, and then leaving, then coming back, leaving, then coming back, I'm starting to see some growth, some downputs, and also some uplifting. But talent-wise, I feel everybody can support anybody. It's just, let's be honest, we don't need dick riders, okay? We just need honesty. Honesty is the best way for anybody to get anywhere. If you can be, and constructive criticism helps all types of ways. If you just be honest with your friend and let them know that yo shit ass, you need to work on this, work on that, or maybe you can improve or tweak this a little bit, then a lot of people will end up getting somewhere to where they need to get to. I can support anybody. I don't mind doing that. It's just the fact of the matter is, when it comes down to that support, it takes that person to actually want to be able to hear you and listen to you in order for them to actually get somewhere. If not, then they got to find their own way. It's several spots, but the retirement spot is Toronto. Like, when I get to that age where I want to retire and relax and chill and live the rest of my merry days, maybe drinking a giant cup of cocoa in a giant hot tub in a snow oasis in the mountains somewhere in Toronto, or just relax in the house. It don't really make a difference as long as I end up being cool and smooth with me and my team. And like I made that my mission since me and my brother Renzo had hopped on everything and we first met up with each other. And that's always been the mission. And also with me meeting up with my bros, and we made Trigram. We made that our mission to just be successful, support, bring a few people with us if they want to be brought along, and then end up making it somewhere. And if we make it there, then we got it. Next spot that I'm planning on going to is LA though, because everybody knows that if you go to any major city, Chicago is one of them, but if you go to like Texas or Los Angeles or somewhere in Georgia or New York City, or if you do go outside of the country, you can end up making a name for yourself, and it will be so much better opportunity than being stuck where you're at. So that's why I also advise people, if you do live down here, you can do whatever you put your mind to. If you want to take your talent somewhere, get out the city, go learn something new. If you want to come back, take a visit, but don't make it so you're stuck here and have nowhere else to go, because the place you live at doesn't have to be your permanent spot. And that's just facts right there. I would honestly say I would do dancing. I would put dancing as a major thing, because when it comes down to music or writing, a lot of people end up becoming independent artists just by doing their own thing, whether it be writing for certain artists or being on SoundCloud, upgrading their music and sending it out there so it can be sponsored. It's so much that you're able to do on your own. You don't necessarily need to have nobody there to actually make yourself successful. If you look at like artists like Chance the Rapper or Action Bronson or Joey Badass, they independent rappers themselves. They end up making successful by doing things on their own. And if you look at dancers such as Fiction, Let Twins, Ditto, and Blueprint, members of Dragon House, Nonstop, you see them do so many competitions and so many shows that ended up being a push. And also it shows that if you end up growing and developing your own skills and your own art and talent that makes you feel like yourself, that makes you feel good inside, then it actually shows right there that you can end up pushing yourself forward to more motivation than what you anticipated. I'm just gonna make this known. It's gonna stick. You can't take away Tupac and Biggie. J. Cole and Kendrick, they made their statement, they made their mark. Now number 5, that right there is the hardest part, because a lot of people gotta continuously see who's gonna fight for that number 5 spot. We're not just talking about numbers, we're also talking about not just fan base, we're also talking about the feel and emotion of what they do in their craft. And Drake, I will put him in my top 5. I'll put Drake up there, because Drake actually one of the inspirations that mainly made me want to get into the more smoother vibe when it came down to rapping. Because when he first came out, and I heard him when he was Jimmy in the Wheelchair on Degrassi. That's what made me start picking up on Drake. Because after I saw him, and then I saw this dude named Drake pop up on TV one time, I was like, wait a minute, ain't that Aubrey Graham from Degrassi? Ain't he Jimmy in the Wheelchair? Around that time, I thought he was really in the wheelchair, which is fucked up, but shit. I didn't know Hollywood around that. I didn't know acting around that time or how the industry worked for TV shows, but it actually showed right there that you can take one little thing and pop up with that one little thing, and it could end up turning into something major and huge. And a lot of inspirations that you can end up having in your life can actually bring you to where you really want to go to in life. Man, it's a list. I never can. It's like, okay, it's always gonna be. I started watching Nonstop first when he first came out with Pumped Up Kicks, and then I started watching So You Think You Can Dance, and then I picked up off of Dragon House members such as Android, Cyrus Gliss Spencer, and then Blueprint, Taylor Pierce. I never really have a top 5 for dancers because I watch everybody, but my own personal 5 who I pick up off of or learn my skills from mainly would be Blueprint, Nonstop, Lead Twins, Taylor Pierce, and Fiction. I got one music video project coming up soon it's my highest numbered song on SoundCloud called Grown Motives. And I told my bro about it and I had him listen to it. He said, why does it sound like you left Peoria, went to another location, got this recorded by a signature producer, and then not tell nobody about it? He basically thought I pulled Osama bin Laden when it came down to recording this song. But I told him, like, the story about me doing my music and recording the song, I recorded it off of some basic headphones that you would get from Walgreens and off of a Chromebook my mom had gotten me. Because of the fact of the matter is, I didn't really have the funds to either go to a studio or have the funds to get a more upgraded computer like a MacBook to get on GarageBand. So I just go with the resources that I already was able to get to. I never really see myself as being like a producer type. I always wanted to try it and I still want to, but writing and actually doing songs like helps me release certain emotions that I never really feel like I can vent to with certain people or certain family members, and it's basically my own calling saying that I'm free to express myself. Get out of Peoria. But nah, my main goal for 2017 is to get out of Peoria and go to Los Angeles and start one of my hobbies off and make it become a career. But one thing I always learned from my mom is that you can fund your dream. You can do your talents, you can have your hobbies, but it's not gonna mean nothing if you can't fund your dreams. So I'm doing everything I possibly can, doing my normal full-time 9 to 5s, working my normal daily job, and saving up on the side so I can both take care of my responsibilities and my priorities, and also the other half so I can fund my dreams, whether it be recording my music, record dance videos, set up sessions, save up enough so I can take a plane ticket and get out of here finally. And I know for a fact that I'll make it somewhere. I just got to make sure I put the time in and dedication, because you can't do nothing without dedication and hard work. But I do plan on getting somewhere music wise. I have a project coming up soon that I do plan on dropping in a long while. That's meant to be dropped in a long while. That should have been dropped in a long while, but I'm not going to give a release date. I'm not going to tell nobody when it's going to be coming out. I'm just telling people to just pay attention and keep your eyes open, because I got a few surprises. One thing I want to say to everybody, whether it be once dealing with the struggle or those who having hard times or good times, having that little tiny downfall that you're having, don't let that keep you away from what you really want to do with yourself. Don't let that keep you discouraged, or don't let that keep you down or below your lowest. Lift yourself up the best way you possibly can, and always make sure you put your best foot forward, and make sure that you motivate yourself to know that you yourself can do it. If you know for yourself and believe in yourself and keep reminding yourself every day that you can do it, then you can do it. People gonna tell you you can't do this, you can't do that. So what? They hating. They're not you. Live your life the best way you know how to live your life. Make yourself happy. Do something that makes everything for yourself worthwhile. Because at the end of the day, when you go to sleep at night, when you wake up, the person who you gotta look at the mirror every day to know for a fact to make sure it's okay is you. Y'all can follow me everywhere. I literally have almost every single social media account, because I usually be bored a lot, so I make a lot of accounts, whether it be Vine, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook. You can add me on Facebook, Christian Charisma. You can follow me on Instagram at Christian Charisma, same name. You can add me on Twitter at Chris Charisma 11. Add me on my Snapchat, Charisma Super Kid. And also hit me up on my YouTube, which is Christian Charisma. And if you want to check me out, hit me up on my Gmail, contact me, whether it be wanting to do shows, or if you want to send me some beat deals, or if you want to have me perform at any of your kids' birthday parties, or anything that you would want me to do to help me promote, not only help me promote myself, but something that can help you out as well, hit me up on my Gmail at charismattu@gmail.com. And this is your boy Christian Charisma, and I want to thank you for watching Meet the Artist.